Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. Welcome to our Zoom.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, good evening. Welcome
I'm
to our Zoom.
father of Talis.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, Ms. Mendoza Morales. Thank you for joining and thank you all for your patience. What you're viewing on your screen, folks, is just some photos of Unity over the last 10 years. So we hope while you're waiting that you are enjoying some photos of our beautiful students. And we will get started shortly. We're going to give folks another minute or so, and then we will start off our presentation.
Good. I'm staring at me.
I'm gonna have questions on that. I'll save.
All right, with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Miss Young, I'm going to stop my screen share and I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Yoon. And thank you everyone for joining us this evening and for your patience. Sorry, I was speaking on mute. What you saw on our screen a few moments ago were some photos of our students over the course of the last decade that we've been in existence. We wanted you to get a taste of our school and our students before we got started. And with that said, our agenda for this evening, first, of course, we want to extend a hearty and warm welcome to you all as the newest members of our Unity community. We created this event so you all can put some faces to names of school leaders, of the folks who are going to be taking good care of your students in our school during their time with us. And so you're going to meet those people in our team introductions. Then you're going to meet our amazing principal, Ms. Yoon. We're going to share some next steps that you all can embark in over the first few weeks of the school year before we kick it off with our annual back to school night. And then we're going to open the floor for some question and answers. And so I welcome you. My name is Jada Young. I have had the privilege and the honor of serving as Unity's Family Ambassador Coordinator. I supported directly our high school site while also being one of the academic counselors. A quick plug for our Family Ambassador program. You can think of us sort of as a PTA where we connect our school leaders and our teachers directly with our families, and we allow our families to have a really important say in the things that we do as a school. So if those of you are interested in learning more about it, You'll hear some more information over the first few weeks of the school year, and we're also happy to answer a few questions about it this evening. But in the spirit of transparency, I must also share that I am sort of newly going to be taking on a new role outside of the Unity community. And so I will be transitioning in the quite near term. And so we welcome you. And I want to assure you that our school is super excited about inviting you, and you will be in amazing hands as we make a transition. And with that said, sorry, I'm letting some folks in our Zoom meeting. I would love to introduce to you our school senior leaders. They are in our Zoom, most of them are co-hosts, and I'm gonna ask them to just wave into the camera once they hear their names. So first up, we have our Assistant Principal of Teaching and Learning for the STEAM department, Ms. Marsal Abawi. Ms. Abawi, if you can wave. Then we have our Assistant Principal of Teaching and Learning for the Humanities Department, Ms. Kariuska Herond. Ms. Herond, if you can wave. And Ms. Herond, by the way, is also one of our two coaches for our award-winning STEP teams. So you may recognize her face because she does great work at our middle school with the STEP team there.
Miss Young, you're on mute right now.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. I don't know what I keep happening. So I left off on introducing Mr. Lopez. So Mr. Lopez, if you can wave again. Next, we have our amazing Assistant Principal of Community and Culture, Ms. Ali Olivier, who also serves as the head coach for our multi-award winning STEP team at the high school. And our newest members to the team, our Senior Director of Counseling, Ms. Emily Bean. So Ms. Bean, if you can wave. And last, but absolutely not least, we have our amazing principal, Ms. Grace Yoon. And this is also where Ms. Yoon takes over the mic and starts her presentation.
Good evening, families. I want to start off by just thanking Jada for the service that you've provided our school community. For the families on this call, we have definitely appreciated all the hard work she's put into supporting our students, supporting our family engagement efforts. And with that, we wish you all the best as you make this transition. So with that, I'll get started with a little bit of an introduction to myself. I started my career in education in 2006 in Los Angeles as a special education teacher for 7th and 8th graders. I then transitioned into a high school special education teacher role. And for 5 years, I was able to be part of a founding charter high school out in the Los Angeles area. In 2013, I was ready to move back to the East Coast to be closer to family. And that brought me to Unity during our founding year when we opened our doors in 2013 to our students and families in the Bed-Stuy community. I am proud to say that I have been with this organization for over a decade now. And as I enter my year of principalship this year, I'm honored to continue serving the community that we serve. And on the screen, you'll see a picture of me, another founder of our school, Eric Gonzalez, surrounded by some of our seniors from the class of 2023 on their college signing day. And so I am just so excited to welcome our newest families of our Unity community tonight. Thank you for being part of this meeting today so that we can begin this journey of being partners in the important work of serving our students. With that, I'll move into our mission statement. Our mission statement is something that is super important to the work that we do each and every day because it grounds us in what we must prioritize as a school community. And so our our school's mission is to provide all students with an exceptional college preparatory education that empowers them to lead fulfilling lives. I will say that this is a mission statement that's been written with every single word being chosen carefully because we want to make sure that it guides everything that we do. And so we are a school that serves all types of learners. We are a school that promises to provide an exceptional education that is college preparatory in nature. And we are a school that commits to making sure that we are empowering our students to have whatever they want to embark upon available to them when they leave our school once upon graduating from high school. I want to start the information session by just making sure all of our families tonight understand what our school schedule is like for the first week of school. And this screenshot right now is for our 9th grade families. Any 9th grader joining our Unity community for the 23-24 school year, you will see your schedule for the first week of school right now on the screen. On Monday, September 4th, it's Labor Day, so the school is closed. However, our 9th graders will begin their session on Tuesday, September 5th, with the doors opening at 8 o'clock. And that day will end at 3:15. On Wednesday, September 6th, our 9th graders will have a remote day with homework. So they'll come to school on Tuesday, they'll be remote on Wednesday, and then join back in person on Thursday and moving forward. So please note that 9th graders, we expect to see you on Tuesday, September 5th. We'll have you do remote work on Wednesday, which will allow us to prepare the school with our 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. And then we'll see you back in person on Thursday, September 7th. For our 10th, 11th, and 12th grade families, there is no school on Monday. There is no school on Tuesday. The first day of school for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade will be on Wednesday, September 6th. Doors open at 8 a.m. Please make sure you arrive on time. Our bell schedule this year is the following. Our doors, like I mentioned, will open at 8 a.m. Any student who arrives after 8:15 will be marked tardy to school. Students must swipe their ID card to be marked present to school upon arrival. It's the first thing that students do when they enter our building. And please note that classes begin at 8:15. Our lunch periods are 30 minutes long. We offer a daily advisory program for all of our students, and our dismissal is 3:15 p.m. One key date we want to make sure everyone on this call puts on their calendars right away is our back to school night. This year, back to school night will be on September 20th at 6 p.m. And this is our first mission critical mandatory event for all families because it's our opportunity to make those connections with our important stakeholders, our families and parents and guardians, caregivers at home, so that we can really begin the partnership that needs to exist in order to support our students in the academic outcomes we all want to see them achieve. And so please note that this is an in-person event. We expect all families to be there. And you can expect to hear from your child's advisor next week with a personalized invitation to attend this back to school night at 6 p.m. But please do go ahead and make sure you're marking your calendars tonight so you can save the date and join us in person on September 20th. I saw that there were a few questions about uniform and dress code collected in advance. So I want to be clear about what our dress code policy is at Unity High School. Unity High does not have a formal uniform. However, we do strongly recommend and encourage all students to wear Unity swag. There will be multiple opportunities for students as they begin their time with Unity to collect Unity apparel. And we strongly encourage students to wear that so that they can show off their school pride. However, we do not have a formal uniform policy. We ask that students are wearing something that makes them comfortable in a learning environment. And the only, the mandatory criteria for that is their full torsos must be covered. There cannot be any obscene language or imagery on their clothing. And their shoes, for safety reasons, must be closed toe. That means no sandals or slides. One thing I'm incredibly proud of as a school community is that we have made the proactive effort to ensure we are a phone-free learning environment. If anybody follows any of the educational news and research that's coming out recently, we know that it's become clear by researchers, by scientists who are studying the effects of screens and phones in the lives of our adolescents, that there is an impact on both the mental health of our students, with social media being an ever-present factor in their lives, but also that it takes away from their ability to attend to what they need to focus on in the moment when their cell phone or devices are present. So this has been an initiative that we've been working on for many years. So it's nice to know that we've been ahead of the curve, but we are a phone-free learning environment. Our policy is designed to make sure we minimize the major and frequent disruptions and distractions that are caused by cell phones and social media. And we seek to create learning environments that allow all students to focus on learning and academic achievement. I know this is a struggle for many schools across the country, but I'm pleased and proud to say that our cell phone policy has really been something that has been quite a place of success for our school. And so I'm excited to share that with our newest families so that you guys can understand how it works, and that we are continuing to be committed to creating a learning environment that's free of distractions and any major disruptions. So our students every single day have a Yonder pouch that is unlocked, and their phone is turned off and placed into the pouch to secure it. This is done during morning arrivals, and it remains in that secured pouch for all of the instructional time during the school day. When students are ready to leave the school building, they will unlock their pouches by using a magnetic base that will be put up by our dismissal team throughout the building, as well as at the dismissal doors, so that students can unyonder their cell phone, remove it out of the pouch, and turn it on for travel back home. These pouches are checked every single day to make sure that they are not tampered or damaged with. I'm pleased to say that this has been truly a non-issue for our academic culture because of the strength of our program here. And so please do know that if you are a family that is joining our community, this is a commitment we must have from you. You must be signed on to continuing the work that we've done to ensure our students have a phone-free learning environment. And as members of our community, this is something that we need a united front on. Like I mentioned, we do have a daily Yonder check. So if there is damage or loss that is seen during morning arrivals, students will need to turn in their cell phones to their grade level dean, and students are responsible for replacing any lost or damaged Yonder pouches by purchasing a new one for $5. Jupiter Grades. Jupiter Grades is a website that allows us to log student grades, their attendance record, and behavior log. And so we use this as a major communication platform between school and home. And so this is essential for all families who are joining our community to set up your Jupiter accounts and make sure that you are ready to go, so that you can be in touch with all of our staff. You can maintain an accurate view of your child's grades and attendance and behavior at all times. You will receive information exactly on how to get signed up for Jupiter when your student attends that first day of school. They will be taking home a packet that gives you information on how to set up your account. But if there is any issue you're having on that back to school night, we'll be able to troubleshoot any issues with Jupiter on site and in person. Some additional key points from me. Your child's advisor, as I mentioned earlier, will be reaching out next week. So please make sure we have your contact information. We will be dropping in the chat momentarily a link to the survey that can collect your family contact information. We want to make sure that we have the most up-to-date information. So we thank you in advance for submitting this. Even if we already have your contact information, please do take a few minutes to fill this out. This will also help us take attendance for this evening so we know who was here tonight during this principal Meet the Principal event. School supply lists will be shared tomorrow, Friday, August 25th by 12 p.m. You should have that in your inbox. And so please note, school supply lists will be shared tomorrow. And one more time, I'm going to mention it again. Our high school back to school night is Wednesday, September 20th at 6 p.m. It is in person. It is mission critical, therefore mandatory for all of us to come together that night to see our full community together in one place for the sake of making sure we have a strong partnership to kick off this school year. And with that, I'll open up some time for us to have a short Q&A session. I'm gonna allow participants to unmute themselves. And so give me one moment while I do that. If you will come off mic, if you have a question or put your questions in the chat, we will be able to answer any questions that might be on people's minds.
What are the clubs you guys have?
Can you repeat that question one more time?
What are all the clubs you guys have?
Great question. I'm going to turn that over to Ms. Olivier, who's our Assistant Principal of Culture and Community.
Hi, so we offer a range of different clubs, including climbing club, gaming, art, some other new clubs that we may have or have had in the past. We have anime. And if you're interested in hosting a club that we don't offer, and you have a group of students who are interested in a potential teacher advisor, that club can also be created.
Thank you, Ms. Olivier. I see a couple questions in the chat. Will there be metal detectors in the school? I will turn that over to Assistant Principal of Operations and Safety, Mr. Lopez.
Good evening. We currently do not have a full metal detector implementation at our school. We are exploring options of implementing it the coming school year, but we want to make sure that we continue to work with our parents and our student body and community to ensure that it's the right fit for our school, as we did this past school year. So still a bit up in the air, more to come during our back to school night.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. I see, I'm going to go to the next one, which is, what is the classroom size? Our classrooms are all different sizes in our building, and depending on the physical space of the classroom, our classroom sizes for courses range anywhere between 15 to 26, 28 students. Will students get their IDs at back to school night? Students will receive their IDs during the first week of school. So by the time it's back to school nights, all students should have their IDs. The first day of school, there's a question in the chat, is the first day of school remote or in person? The first day of school for 9th graders is in person. That day is Tuesday, September 5th. ninth graders must attend in person. However, for ninth grade only, Wednesday, September 6th is a remote day with homework. Ms. Young, if you can flip to the next page, I'm not sure if this parent or family is in ninth grade or not. So if you are a 10th, 11th, or 12th grader, your first day is in person on September 6th. When do the first sports seasons start? I'm going to turn it back over to Miss Olivier.
Yeah, well, also we'll be having tryouts starting maybe the second, third, or fourth week of September. I know basketball season begins in the winter. Step season also begins in the winter. Volleyball typically begins around the spring, and soccer typically in the fall. Tryout information will be available around or that first week of school. So students will know when trials are happening and be able to meet the coaches and learn more about season requirements.
Miss Olivier, we have one more question in the chat about whether or not uniforms are required. Can you answer that question as well?
Yep. Uniforms are not mandatory. There is no formal dress code at Unity High, but Unity Swag is strongly encouraged. We just ask that all clothing torsos are fully covered. There is no obscene language or imagery featured on any of the clothing, and that shoes are closed-toed, so no sandals and no slides.
Miss Herond, I'm seeing a question in the chat that is asking about accessibility of teachers when a student needs extra help. Could you answer that question for us?
Absolutely. So thank you for asking that question, whoever it is that presented that. That's a great question to share with families. And so Unity has this wonderful privilege when it comes to the way that we approach instruction. And so the majority of our classrooms are ICT classrooms. What that means for anyone who's unfamiliar with that term is that we typically have 2 teachers in the room for the majority of our classes. That means that students are able to get targeted support from both teachers. They have 2 humans in the room that are able to address their needs, both academically and socially, emotionally as well. And so to that question, there are a variety of supports that happen in the classroom, but then we also have structured into our day, office hours with teachers, tutoring times. And so those are additional opportunities that students have to get the additional support that they may need to succeed.
Thank you so much. I've answered the question about class sizes, so please know that our student to teacher ratio will not exceed 28. And often those 28 student classrooms are co-taught, so it really becomes a 1:16 ratio. Students will receive Metro cards the first week of school. Students will have the ability to receive a Chromebook if they need to get one from the school. We do have a one-to-one Chromebook system, and more information on that will be provided the first day of school. There is a question about classes and whether or not you can receive credit through taking a Regents exam. So all students, if they are bringing in any high school credits, whether those are course credits or Regents credits, you will have an opportunity to sit down with an academic counselor to look at your individual transcript and make sure that you understand what the implications are for any coursework that you may be exempt from. Mr. Lopez, we have a question in the chat about how we avoid conflict with other schools in the area.
Great question. So in this neighborhood, there are 4 other high schools in the area. To avoid conflict, we meet with schools weekly, their leadership teams, their assistant principals, their principals, their deans. And we meet on a platform alongside the 94th precinct with their youth coordination officers, and strategically have different administrators or youth officers stationed either in the train or in corridors where students walk to ensure that there aren't any conflicts. So the lines of communication are open between all schools to make sure that we're proactive in ensuring student safety while traveling home from school.
Thank you. I'm going to turn on the volume to make sure I'm not missing any questions that might have been asked on mic. Were there any other questions, Ms. Young, that were asked on mic?
No, I don't think so. I think they're all in the chat box.
Wonderful. We have the link in the survey, the link to the survey. Yes, I can, Mr. Lopez, do you have that? The family survey. Okay. We'll be dropping that link in just a moment. Meanwhile, Ms. Young, if there are any other questions that I'm missing, can you share them out and we'll get them answered?
Yeah, absolutely. And also just to add to Mr. Lopez's point a moment ago about our school, we also have the privilege of being alone in the building, so we don't share our building with other schools. And that allows us to build a really strong culture with our students. So thank you to that parent who asked about just community engagement with other schools in our neighborhoods. Another question that is asked for our leaders on the Zoom: are classes discussion-based, hands-on, or lecture style, would you say?
Great question. I'm gonna ask our assistant principal of teaching and learning for the STEAM department, Ms. Morsala Bowie, take that one on first.
Hello, thank you for asking that question. So our classes are a mix. So we do have labs going on for our sciences. For our math classrooms, there are things like exploratory learning where students will give a try to solve a really hard math problem, for example, at first. Similarly, in all of our classes, it will range in style depending on the need for that topic. So it could be hands-on when it comes to the sciences, and then it will vary in style in terms of exploratory or very procedural if we do come into a space where we need to practice testing skills or things of that nature.
Ms. Herron, would you add anything else? All right. It's just, are classrooms discussion-based? Are they hands-on? Is it lecture style?
I would say in reflecting for the humanities within our history courses, there are lots of opportunities to start flexing that muscle for note-taking during lecture components. So we definitely have lectures happening in classrooms. And in ELA classrooms, we are very big on pushing not just the depth of writing and articulation, but also the depth of conversation with collaborative learning that happens with peers. So we have a lot of things like Socratic seminars happening, guided seminars, debates, things of that nature. And so across all classes, there are a variety of ways in which we have students engaging and trying to access different texts, as well as different tasks.
Thank you all. So we have another question about trips that are offered at the school. I can jump in just quickly to share about some college trips that we've taken. So we typically host 2 college trips throughout the school year, one in the fall, one in the spring, so that each grade level is having an opportunity to see and experience colleges hands-on twice per year. Last year, we took our 9th graders to St. Francis College in the fall, and our seniors to Montclair University. Our students also got to experience Vassar College, Medgar Evers, and Adelphi. So we try to align our college trips to student interest, as well as like student profile, in ways in which we can sort of match our students to schools that they could possibly get into, while also sort of expanding their horizon about their college options.
Great. For the sake of time, I am going to invite folks who don't have any further questions to sign off. We'll officially end this session. However, I do know that there are a couple questions that have not been answered. So if you would like to stay on to get those questions answered, please feel free. But we will officially end our session today. Thank you so much for coming to meet me, meet my team, get to know a little bit about the high school you have selected and what we are about. And we cannot wait to start this work together with you and your student for the 23-24 school year. Thank you. Good night.